Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. I'm Emma, and today we're diving into an exciting and often challenging topic: speaking English like a native. Have you ever wondered how native speakers seem to speak effortlessly, using expressions you have never heard before, with a flow that feels so natural? Well, in this episode, I'm going to take you through the journey of becoming a confident speaker who sounds just like a native speaker. Before we get started, let me clarify one thing. Speaking like a native doesn't mean you have to erase your accent or lose your identity. It's not about perfection. Rather, it's about mastering certain skills and adopting habits that help you communicate effectively and naturally in English. The goal is to sound confident, be understood clearly, and understand the nuances of everyday conversation. So, whether you are a beginner looking to start this journey or an advanced learner aiming to refine your skills, today's episode is for you. Grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's get started on your path to speaking English like a native. Let's first break down what it means to be a native speaker. Native speakers are people who grew up speaking a language naturally and unconsciously from an early age. For native English speakers, English is something they learned as part of their upbringing, and they have internalized its rhythm, intonation, idiomatic expressions, and cultural references. When we talk about speaking like a native, we're not aiming to change your first language or completely replace your natural speaking style. Instead, we're focusing on understanding how native speakers approach conversation, adopting some of their habits, and fine-tuning your skills in a way that makes your English sound fluent, natural, and easy. One of the biggest differences between native and non-native speakers is immersion. Native speakers are immersed in their language every day, constantly hearing and practicing English from the moment they wake up until they go to bed. They don't actively think about grammar rules or pronunciation, they just speak. As learners, you need to create your own immersion environment. Surround yourself with English in various forms, be it through movies, TV shows, podcasts, or conversations with native speakers. The more you immerse yourself in the language, the easier it will be to adopt natural speech patterns and habits. But immersion isn't just about listening, it's about speaking, thinking, and interacting in English. Native speakers seem to effortlessly use words and phrases that make their speech sound rich and natural. They may not always use the most formal language, but they tend to speak fluently, with an abundant vocabulary. If you want to sound like a native, one of the most important skills to develop is vocabulary expansion. You will need to move beyond textbook language and start using everyday expressions. For example, instead of saying, "I am happy," a native speaker might say, "I'm over the moon," or "I'm feeling great." These expressions give more color and personality to your speech, making it sound more natural and engaging. Idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs are a huge part of native speech. These are combinations of words that, when put together, have meanings that differ from their literal translations. For example, break the ice doesn't mean to physically break anything, but refers to starting a conversation or easing tension. To sound like a native, you need to learn these common idioms and phrasal verbs. The more you understand these, the more you will sound like someone who has internalized the language. Phrasal verbs like get along with, bring up, and put off are extremely common in casual conversations. Idioms like hit the nail on the head, a piece of cake, or the ball is in your court are used constantly in both spoken and written English. Collocations are word combinations that are commonly used together. For example, you make a decision, not do a decision. By learning and using common collocations, you will begin to speak like a native. This is because native speakers rarely use words in isolation. They naturally combine words in predictable ways. Start paying attention to these patterns and use them in your speech. For instance, instead of saying make a picture, say take a picture. These little adjustments will make you sound more fluent and natural. Let's discuss the importance of pronunciation in sounding like a native. Pronunciation is one of the most essential components of speaking English like a native. If you want to sound fluent, you need to focus on the way words are articulated, the emphasis on particular syllables, and how different sounds blend together. One of the key things that native speakers do is pronounce words quickly. and they use subtle changes in their voice to convey emotion, intention, and meaning. The challenge for many learners is that English pronunciation isn't always phonetic. That means that the way words are written doesn't always match how they're said. For instance, the word though is pronounced quite differently from how it's spelled. This can be frustrating for non-native speakers who are used to more predictable rules in other languages. Native speakers use connected speech frequently, which refers to how words are often merged or shortened in natural conversation. For example, I'm going to becomes I'm gonna, did you turns into did ya, want to becomes wanna. Mastering these pronunciation patterns will make your speech sound more fluid and native-like. It's not enough to only pronounce individual words correctly. Understanding how sounds flow together in connected speech is just as crucial. Now, let me tell you the role of intonation in conveying meaning. Intonation is the rise and fall of the voice when speaking. It's what adds emotion and nuance to our speech. When we speak with the correct intonation, we sound more natural, like a native. But when our intonation is flat, our speech may sound robotic or monotonous. In English, intonation is used in various ways. To indicate questions, for example, are you coming with me? The voice rises at the end. To express uncertainty or doubt, I'm not sure if I can. To convey excitement or surprise, that's amazing. Native speakers instinctively use intonation to signal the type of message they are delivering. For instance, a rising tone is often used for yes and no questions, are you happy? While a falling tone is used for statements, I'm happy. To sound more like a native, practice listening to how intonation works in everyday conversations. Try mimicking conversations from TV shows, podcasts, or YouTube channels where the speakers are engaging in casual dialogues. Focus not just on the words they say, but also on how their voice rises and falls. Another key aspect of pronunciation is word stress. In English, different syllables of a word can be stressed differently, and this can change the meaning or sound of the word. To sound more native-like, make sure you're stressing the correct syllables in words. Native speakers don't think about stress consciously, but for non-natives, it's something that requires attention. Besides word stress, there's also sentence stress. This refers to the natural emphasis placed on certain words in a sentence. For instance, in the sentence, I really like this song, the word really is stressed to show the intensity of the speaker's liking. Similarly, in the sentence, he's the one who asked me, the word who might be stressed to highlight who made the request. Practice paying attention to stress and intonation patterns in sentences. By stressing words correctly, you will sound much more natural and fluent. Most important thing to fluency is speaking without hesitation. Fluency in speaking English involves more than just knowing the right vocabulary and grammar. It's about being able to speak smoothly and without hesitation. One of the major obstacles learners face in developing fluency is the fear of making mistakes or the constant need to pause and search for the right word. This hesitation disrupts the natural flow of conversation and can make you sound less confident. Native speakers rarely hesitate or take long pauses to find the right word. This is because they have developed the ability to speak from intuition rather than thinking about every individual word or sentence. As a non-native speaker, the key to fluency is to let go of the need to be perfect. Focus instead on speaking without stopping. Even if you make minor errors, you can build this ability by practicing speaking every day. The more you speak, the less you will rely on mental translation from your first language, and the more you will trust your ability to express yourself in English. Record yourself speaking about different topics and listen to see where you hesitate. Gradually, you will begin to speak more freely and naturally. Fluency also involves finding the right rhythm when speaking. Native speakers have a particular rhythm that's tied to the stress and unstressed syllables in words. English is often described as a stress-timed language, meaning that the rhythm of speech is determined by the stress syllables, and the unstressed syllables are often shortened or not pronounced as clearly. Fluency is not just about speaking, it's about thinking in English. Many learners struggle with fluency because they think in their native language and then translate their thoughts into English. This creates delays and hesitations in conversation. To develop fluency, start thinking directly in English. Try to describe your day, your thoughts, or anything else in English without translating. You can start small, thinking in simple sentences, and gradually move to more complex thoughts. By consistently thinking in English, you will begin to speak more fluidly and without hesitation. Now comes the power of cultural context in communication. Language is deeply intertwined with culture, and understanding cultural references is vital to sounding like a native speaker. Native speakers naturally incorporate their cultural experiences into their language, which can make them sound more connected to the language. This includes idiomatic expressions, slang, and even references to popular culture, such as movies, sports, or historical events. Start learning about the culture through various channels like movies, news, and conversations with native speakers. This will expose you to the cultural nuances of language, which will help you use the language naturally in context. Humor is also a crucial part of communication in any language, and it can be especially important for native speakers. Humor in English can range from sarcasm to wordplay to cultural references. It's a subtle yet powerful way to connect with others and enhance conversations. One thing that makes humor in English unique is the use of sarcasm and irony, which may not always be immediately obvious to non-native speakers. A sarcastic statement like, "Oh, great, another traffic jam," may sound like a positive statement, but in reality, it's expressing frustration. To understand humor like a native speaker, immerse yourself in comedy shows, stand-up routines, and TV series that are rich in humor. Pay attention to how humor is used in different contexts and practice incorporating it into your own speech. Using humor naturally will make you sound more fluent and comfortable in social conversations. Another important aspect of sounding like a native is mastering slang and informal expressions. Slang is the informal language that native speakers often use in casual conversations. These expressions can be difficult to understand at first, but once you learn them, you will be able to engage in more natural conversations. For example, instead of saying, "I'm very tired," a native speaker might say, "I'm beat," or "I'm exhausted." Instead of saying, "I don't know," they might say, "I have no clue," or "I'm not sure." By learning these informal phrases, you will be able to speak with more variety and sound like a native speaker who's comfortable in informal settings. Let me tell you how to build in confidence and staying motivated. One of the biggest barriers to speaking English confidently is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners worry that they will sound silly or that others will judge them for not speaking perfectly. However, the truth is that native speakers make mistakes too. They might mispronounce words or use incorrect grammar, but they don't let it stop them from communicating. The key to building confidence is accepting that mistakes are part of the learning process. Every time you make a mistake, it's an opportunity to learn and improve. The more you practice speaking, the more confident you will become. Start by speaking in low-pressure environments, like with close friends, language partners, or even in front of a mirror. These small, supportive settings will help you build confidence and improve your fluency. Language learning can sometimes feel like a long and challenging journey. There will be times when progress seems slow, and you might feel frustrated. But the most important thing is to stay motivated. To stay motivated, set small, achievable goals for yourself. For instance, you might decide to learn 10 new words a week, or practice speaking for 15 minutes every day. Tracking your progress and celebrating small victories will help keep you motivated and moving forward. Also, don't be too hard on yourself. Remember that learning a language is a long-term commitment, and you will improve with time and practice. Now, how to embrace the journey of speaking like a native when you set out to speak like a native. There is often a misconception that fluency is the only goal, and everything else leading to it is just a means to an end. The truth is, the process of learning a language, with all its ups and downs, is just as important, if not more, than the final destination. It's about enjoying the nuances of communication, embracing the little victories, and even celebrating the mistakes you make along the way. Each moment you spend immersed in English Whether you are reading, listening, or speaking, is a step forward. The act of learning itself is where you gain the most. When you focus on the process, you start to realize that fluency is not just a goal, but a natural outcome of consistent effort. If you have ever tried to learn English and felt discouraged by setbacks, remind yourself that setbacks are simply part of the adventure. The journey of speaking like a native is about more than just mastering grammar rules or learning vocabulary. It's about developing a relationship with the language itself, enjoying it for what it is. It's essential to shift your mindset from, "I'll be happy when I speak like a native," to, "I'm enjoying every part of the learning process, and every mistake brings me closer to fluency." The more you allow yourself to enjoy the small moments, the more motivated you will feel to keep going, day after day. The road to speaking like a native is not a smooth one. There will be days when you feel like you are not improving at all, and you may even question your ability to speak English fluently. However, the key to becoming fluent is to expect challenges and embrace them when they come. Every learner has their own personal struggles. For some, it's pronunciation. For others, it's mastering the natural flow of speech. Whether it's remembering idioms, using phrasal verbs, or keeping up with native speakers in fast-paced conversations, these challenges will arise. And that's perfectly normal. It's a natural part of the learning process. Rather than avoiding challenges, lean into them. See every obstacle as an opportunity to strengthen your skills. For example, if you find pronunciation difficult, spend extra time practicing the sounds that trouble you. If understanding native speakers seems impossible, turn on subtitles in English and try to catch a word or two. Slowly, these challenges will seem less daunting. The key is to make mistakes and learn from them. In fact, embracing these challenges will help you speak like a native faster than you think. It's during moments of discomfort that you will truly grow and refine your language skills. So, don't shy away from the tough parts. The more challenges you overcome, the closer you will get to speaking fluently. One of the most powerful tools you have on your journey is consistency. Learning to speak like a native is not something that happens after just one study session or a couple of weeks of effort. It requires regular, consistent practice. Think of it like training for a marathon. You wouldn't expect to run 26 miles without consistent practice. And similarly, you won't become fluent in English overnight. It's about showing up every day, even if it's just for a short practice session. This could mean setting aside 10 minutes every day to speak in English, listening to a podcast while commuting, or watching a TV show in English before bed. Even small, daily actions add up and create a compounding effect. The more consistently you engage with the language, the more natural it will become to speak English fluently and comfortably. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect every day. Some days you might feel more confident than others, and that's okay. The important thing is to continue practicing, even when things don't seem to be improving as fast as you'd like. Over time, you will notice that your fluency is growing, and you will begin speaking with more ease and confidence. Celebrating small milestones gives you a sense of achievement and helps you stay motivated. Even if you are not yet speaking like a native, these moments of progress are important indicators that you are on the right path. Remember, fluency doesn't come all at once. It's a series of small victories that add up. In addition to feeling good about your progress, celebrating these wins reinforces positive behavior. When you reward yourself for learning something new or successfully communicating in English, you are subconsciously telling your brain that it's worth continuing. This positive reinforcement will keep you going when the journey feels long or tough. It's inevitable that there will be days when learning English feels like an uphill battle. Perhaps you struggle with a complex sentence structure or find it difficult to keep up with the rapid-fire speech of native speakers. It's important to be kind to yourself on these days. Understand that language learning is a lifelong process, and you are not alone in feeling frustrated or discouraged at times. Instead of beating yourself up, give yourself grace. Remind yourself that every mistake is part of the learning process and that you are doing the best you can. On tough days, take a step back and remember your initial motivation. Why did you start learning English in the first place? Whether it's to connect with people, travel, or advance your career, keeping your goal in mind can help you regain perspective. This journey is yours, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. Don't let perfectionism take away the joy of learning. Finally, as you embark on the journey of speaking like a native, consider integrating English into your lifestyle. This goes beyond studying grammar and vocabulary. It's about making English a part of your everyday life. Whether that's through listening to English podcasts while working out, speaking with friends in English, or consuming content such as books, movies, or news in English, the more you engage with the language in diverse and natural ways, the more comfortable you will become. Instead of thinking of English as something you study or practice only during certain hours of the day, allow it to be a part of who you are. Over time, you will find that English doesn't feel like something you have to work at. It will feel like a natural extension of yourself. Thank you for joining me in today's episode. Keep practicing, stay patient, and most importantly, enjoy the process of becoming a confident English speaker. I'll see you next time.